in open court and informal, that it's an informal relationship. That's in keeping with what Sean Hannity has said. I never paid Michael Cohen for any legal aid. We talked about real estate. The thing that I am confused by and would like more information on, why, if that's the case, did Michael Cohen's lawyer get up and say, this is the other client that Michael Cohen represents? Why did they seemingly misunderstand that relationship? Presumably Michael Cohen told his lawyer, here are the people. Be so intent on keeping yourself out, your name out, right? He had requested his name not be mentioned. And the attorney for Cohen said, this client, Sean Hannity, is worried about public embarrassment. Why? I mean, if this is just a buddy of yours who you call for real estate advice, it seems odd to me. Those are the two questions. One on the Cohen attorney end, one on the Hannity end, that I don't have an answer.
The other explanation is that Michael Cohen's lawyers didn't want the information that the documents contained about Sean Hannity and discussions he may have had with Michael Cohen, recordings of those phone conversations perhaps made public. And if they said he was a client, he would be subject to attorney-client privilege, and those recordings or documents would be kept secret.
Right. This came as the government was arguing over which documents that were seized in the raid they would be able to access, which of those communications, of course, may actually be privileged. And what this does is it undermines Michael Cohen's credibility, because he did, in fact, argue that some of those communications were privileged, and ultimately it turns out he was referring to those communications he had with Sean Hannity. And then you have Sean Hannity coming out and saying, well, I didn't actually retain him as a lawyer. Well, you cannot invoke attorney-client privilege if you are not, in fact, a client. I think on the Hannity end of it, it's also important to note that he is openly a defender of this president, and he has used his platform to also defend Michael Cohen, but he's also extensively discussed this investigation into Michael Cohen on his program. Yep. And at some point, he should have certainly disclosed, even if he had informal ties to Cohen, that those existed, that he had that contact.
Very quickly, that's so important. We get caught up in a lot of the other things, but Sean Hannity is someone who has millions of people watching him, right? Whether he's an activist or a journalist, he says he's not a journalist. Journalism, that's not really that important. He is out there every night having a very clear perspective on Michael Cohen and the FBI raid, for example. At a minimum, you have to say, I don't think this is anything, but just so you know, Michael Cohen and I occasionally talk about real estate. I don't see how, even if you are Sean Hannity, you can't see why that is something, maybe your viewers don't care, right? But that they should know.
Let's get to Bianna. Bianna, sources telling CNN that the Cohen raid, the raid on Michael Cohen's apartment, on his hotel room, on his office, his safe deposit box, not the book tour so much, from James Comey, is the primary source of the president's anger these days. What does that tell you?
Well, I argue that it doesn't have to be a binary decision. I mean, look, Steve Bannon called the firing of James Comey the worst political decision made in modern history. So clearly we knew that this book tour and the book coming out was going to upset the president and rehash a lot of the things that sparked all of the issues he's facing right now and the problems that he's facing right now, specifically obstruction of justice, potentially. However, he knew this book was coming. He did not know the raid on Michael Cohen's business and home was coming. You talk about the relationship that the president argued that he knows more than even some of the president's closest allies, including his families, including Ivanka, including some of his closest aides. So whatever they have access to right now, and remember the president's lawyers were arguing that they had the right to look over any of those documents first. The judge said that's not going to happen. You can understand why the president is concerned about whatever treasure trove could come out in the weeks and months ahead.
And you agree that the investigation of Michael Cohen in New York by the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York represents a bigger potential threat to the president than the Robert Mueller Russia probe that's going on here in Washington?
The president has been in New York longer than he's been president of the United States. There is a deep history of business deals. Obviously, this is taken out of just the realm of the Russia investigation at this point. Once that genie has been opened, it's really hard to see how you could put it back into the bottle. And you can see why the president from day one did not want his taxes to be released, did not want to talk about his finances. All of that is at stake right now, given the latest that we've heard with his attorney's home and his office being raided.
Joey, you agree?
I really do. I mean, and I think the significant thing is this, and we have to keep this in mind. We talk about this pardon that, of course, Trump threw out there, Scooter Libby, right, and saying, hey, keep quiet, I got your back. But the issue really is that these crimes, you have to know, are also crimes in the state. Simply because it's a federal crime does not make it not a state crime. Manhattan District Attorney's Office, my former office, used to prosecute customarily crimes that could also be prosecuted by the Southern District. Quick note on relevance. Why is this important? Because the president's pardon power does not reach into the state. That would be a Governor Cuomo prerogative, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. So when you talk about squeezing Cohen and getting information from him, I'm interested to learn, once he realizes or gets that some of these can be prosecuted at the state level, how much he'll be willing to give up on Trump, who they really want, in order to save himself. That's the critical question.
And it's really easy, or I guess much easier, to say that you would do anything for the president, even take a bullet. You know, words say a lot, but actions say a lot more. And you start to wonder whether or not Michael Cohen would actually sacrifice time with his family and spend time behind bars to defend this president. That's a whole other discussion, and I think that's a big step for the president, a leap of faith for the president to take in him.
All right, guys, everybody stick around. There's more breaking news we're following, including the mysterious death of a Russian reporter, why some suspect foul play, plus new details of that mid-air horror that left one passenger dead.
The day after chemo might mean a trip back to the doctor's office, just for a shot. But why go back there when you can stay home with Neulasta Onpro?
Strong chemo can put you at risk of serious infection, which could lead to hospitalizations. In a key study, Neulasta reduced the risk of infection from 17% to 1%, a 94% decrease. Applied the day of chemo, Neulasta Onpro is designed to deliver Neulasta the next day, so you can stay home. Neulasta is for certain cancer patients receiving strong chemotherapy. Do not take Neulasta if you're allergic to Neulasta or Neupogen, filgrastim. Ruptured spleen, sometimes fatal, as well as serious lung problems, allergic reactions, kidney injuries, and capillary leak syndrome have occurred. Report abdominal or shoulder tip pain.
Rather be home. Ask your doctor about Neulasta Onpro.
Fitness isn't one size fits all. That's why Bowflex has spent over 30 years developing solutions that make getting in shape easier, smarter, faster. Find yours today at Bowflex.com. During our Get Summer Fit Sale, save up to $899. Get special financing for 18 months and our 6-week money-back guarantee. Plus, stop by today and request this 14-day summer kickstart program. Yours free. It's not too late to get fit for summer at Bowflex.com.
Great. Another dead end.
Sarge, I just got a tip that'll crack this case wide open. Turns out the prince at the crime scene...
Did McGruffy Wuffy get a tippy-whippy?
I'm serious. We gotta move fast before...
Good boy. Is him a good boy?
You can count on Geico saving folks money. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
We knew Angie's List had reviews of home pros.
But so do lots of websites.
I didn't want to pay.
Then I found out it's free. Wait, it's free?
Free to check ratings, read reviews.
And they'll even match your project with a few